Ministry in a Minute is a devotional presentation of the Crossroads School of Ministry. Whatever platform you're on, like, share, subscribe, help us get the word out about the Crossroads School of Ministry. And if you are a ministry leader or church leader or someone called to vocational ministry and you need training, Crossroads School of Ministry can help. Check us out online at crossroadsom.org, the Crossroads School of Ministry. Hey everybody, Dr. Greco here, Ministry in a Minute from the Crossroads School of Ministry. Listen, amazing, this book of Ruth, and we've been going through it now. We went through chapter 1 last week, and tomorrow evening we will go through chapter 2 as I've been studying it. It's very exciting, but I love, it's full of these little tidbits that we can handle in just a minute and that remind us of how we should love our neighbors and how we should do ministry and how we should be just navigating the Christian life. And in the middle of, the beginning of chapter 2, there's this section where they're describing kind of what's happening. And there's this phrase, and the phrase is in verse 3. Okay, so we're not very far in. Naomi tells her daughter-in-law, go ahead and go out in the field and glean some grain. And what I'll explain tomorrow is that they used to leave the grapes and the grain. They wouldn't pick the fields over completely. They would leave some stuff behind so that poor people could come and have grain and have food. That was essentially their welfare system. Is the poor people were allowed to come into the fields after the harvesters had come through and pick what was left over. Okay, so Ruth's going to go out and do that. Naomi says, go ahead. And it says, and I quote, as it turned out, she was working in the field belonging to Boaz. As it turned out. Now, here was Ruth, a Moabitess, who's in a foreign country. She's lost her husband, and she has every right to be angry and bitter. And what does she do? She says, well, I better go pick some food, you know. As it turns out, folks, there's no coincidence here. I almost think that's sarcastic, because as it turned out that someone who wanted to do what was right put herself exactly where God wanted her. See, God's always working. He goes ahead of you. He comes behind you. He's got a bigger plan than we can see. It says in Isaiah, my ways are not your ways. My plans are not your plans. My thoughts are not your thoughts. God's talking to us. And what it requires of us is that we do the right thing. That we put ourselves where God wants us so that He can use us. And that's what we see here. And as it turned out, if you are doing what you're supposed to do, you'll be where you're supposed to be. You'll meet who you're supposed to meet. You allow God to work when you are righteous. There's a word in the New Testament, diakosune, and it means righteousness. It literally means, it's translated righteousness, literally means the right kind of person. Okay? Be the right kind of person. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't do what you're not supposed to do. Be where you're supposed to be, and God will show up. And as it turns out, God will be there. He'll be waiting. He'll have plans that you weren't ready for, but that He was ready for. And it will turn out for your good. That's a great reminder from this book. Can't wait to dig into the rest of this. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, we'll go through all of chapter 2. See you then.